Hello Horror Hounds, I've got a couple of questions for you. Do you love chains? And do you hate technology? If you've answered yes to both of those questions, have I got a movie for you? Come closer, listen to this. High school student Jessie Campbell and her friends think little of the threatening chain letters they receive, until two of them refuse to pass it on and suffer gruesome deaths. This is a slasher movie, and it's one of those technophobic movies where the technology is used against the kids. It's the hook that the slasher hangs his hat from, so to speak. Everyone is on a phone or a mobile device these days, and that's bad. People can get access to your info and invade your privacy through your technology, and that's bad. But there's an anti-technology cult out there who are killing teens of the tech generation, and that's also bad. In order for the anti-tech cult to operate, they have to use technology to kill the teens, which is bad for them. And all of this started because an American special ops soldier was captured by the enemy and tortured because they were able to track him by hacking his government-issued mobile phone. Damn government, damn technology. Well, I best start sending chain letter emails to a bunch of teens and kill them if they don't follow the rules, accepting the fact that in order for me to know whether they follow the rules or not, I'm going to have to use a huge barrage of technology myself to spy on them, which I hate. I hate myself! Which I kind of do after watching Chain Letter. As much as this movie tries and fails to be current, edgy and tech savvy, even for the time it's released, it's really bog standard cut and paste slot A, tab B slasher material. I am a little surprised that the Chain Letter gimmick hasn't really been used before. The receiving of the chain letter and then having to pass it on to 5 people and then having to pass it on to 5 to fend off death gives the whole proceedings a ring type curse or virus feel to it as the potential for it spreads out. The rules of a chain letter are simple and easy to understand. It's easy to follow who will and won't die and how you can avoid being killed if you invest in believing what the chain email tells you. But even with the rules set up and simply established for our slasher killer to do what he does basically 2/3 of the way into the movie ignore the rules completely. He just keeps spamming one poor kid over and over again so he can't possibly forward on all the emails he's been receiving, and then just kills him anyway. And it's one of those films that falls apart the second you think about it, especially a film that's so concerned with everyone's information being online and how interconnected we are technologically with the internet and all of that kind of stuff. How easy would it be for me to forward a chain email on to a Facebook friend I knew who lived in Hong Kong, and then they delete the email and they've got a deadline of 24 hours? Is the killer now going to hop on the next plane to Hong Kong? The killer in question is straight out of the Jason Voorhees University for slasher killers, a huge hulking silent figure whose face at least is horribly disfigured and covered. He's called Chain Man. He sends chain letter emails, and all of his murders involve the use of chains, actual chains. Chains with the logo of the anti-technology cult scored into each link. Bespoke chains. He's also got chains tattooed down his forearm. Seriously, this guy loves chains. When he relaxes, I imagine he listens to Alice in Chains, or for something a little more current perhaps with a better beat to it, something he can dance to. 2 Chains. Chains, chains, chains. While the movie boings along on its own merry way, completely delusional with the belief that it's saying something even remotely interesting about the state of our dependence on technology. What it really wants to be is the next Saw franchise, and there are so many times when this becomes Saw Light, Diet Saw, sugar-free Saw. The bound and physical nature of all the deaths will make you think of the Saw movies. The opening of the movie with a character all bound up with gaffer tape and chained to a couple of cars that are going to go in opposite directions will instantly make you think of the Saw movies. As will any time the film remembers that there's supposed to be a police investigation going on, and we cut back to our detectives with furrowed brows trying to identify the killer, always in the cold blue or sickly green palette of the Saw movies. They even go so far as to cast Betsy Russell, who was Jill Tuck in the Saw movies, Jigsaw's wife, as one of the investigating detectives. Although she doesn't do much besides stand next to Keith David when the film needs the detectives to talk about the investigation in exposition, and other times she's absolutely nowhere near him when he needs to be on his own investigating spooky locations. His investigation, by the way, seems to involve absolutely nothing other than trying to marry a piece of steel chain found at one of the murder scenes to some other chains. He's convinced that if he can find the maker of this chain, he will have found his killer. Chain, chain, chain. The only thing that really recommends the movie on any level whatsoever are the kill scenes. They are brutal, they are bloody, and they are done 100% practically. The first kill after the opening credits is so gloriously nasty and over the top that I began to hope that I was at least going to get a Hatchet level of gloriously over the top gore and death scenes. And whilst all the kills are solid, that really does turn out to be the gore high point, and really when the only thing you can think of to recommend a movie can be seen better elsewhere in the Saw movies or the Hatchet movies, you're left wondering why you should really give any of your time to this movie. It is certainly not for the characters, who are thumbnail sketches at best. We have the jock guy who goes to the gym, the smart girl, whom we know she's smart because she wears glasses and Googles things on the internet. You've got the pretty girl because we see her boobs, the black guy because he's black, and the nerdy guy who also wears glasses, and plays World of Warcraft. The characters aren't there. The police investigation is absolutely nonsensical, and the motivation of the killer is just frankly bizarre if you can work it out at all, because just as information is starting to drop and you're expecting maybe even some sort of like semi-Saw like twist at the end, oh, what's this hoving interview? It's the end of the film. The ending, it just happens. The film just ends. It's like they ran out of film, or ran out of time, or ran out of story to tell. Except it's about 3 or 4 endings all smushed together, including one which repeats the opening credits of the movie, as if the film suddenly remembered it had somewhere else to be and was running late and really needed to get things moving along at a clip. So you get a sort of surprise, it was that soldier you only read about during the opening credits of the movie doing it all along. Surprise, all these people you met in the movie are also in that anti-technology cult. Look, here are flashbacks of them, but now we're going to let you know that they were in the cult because we're going to show you the cult's tattoo on them that you didn't see previously, but it doesn't affect the plot anyway, knowing that they were in the cult. But anyway, surprise, the start of the movie was actually the ending of the movie. Here's the title of the movie again, and rest. But surprise, because now the cop's the next victim, because he never passed on the emails he asked to be forwarded to him so he could investigate them. We'll see you later in Chain Letter 2, except guess what, makers of Chain Letter? Surprise, there isn't going to be a Chain Letter 2, because not even the mothers of those involved in this film want to see a sequel to it. I picked Chain Letter up for £1.99. I think I was a little bit conned there, but you don't have to take my word for it, as I normally do to round these videos off. I like to give alternate viewpoints taken from Internet Movie Database user reviews. This first one from Bollywood Chewbacca says, low class entertainment. There's a scene where a girl smashes a cell phone thinking the killer won't be able to find her, but he'd been watching them for days, so he already knew where she lived. Oh, and it makes complete sense to smash the cell phone instead of just removing the SIM card and the battery. The killer is a faceless goon with no personality whatsoever. We don't get to enjoy a sense of him enjoying the killing, therefore we don't enjoy it. Plot holes galore. Totally unrealistic plot, only one interesting kill, the only interesting character gets killed in the first half of the movie, the only humour is unintentional, you should definitely skip it. Whereas Vincent Winterbourne here has completely cracked it. Everyone's coming at this movie from completely the wrong angle. This is a movie for horror fans. If you've grown up with horror classics from the 80s and 90s, you'll have a better appreciation for this movie. Many people and critics are not feeling the movie because they're looking into the wrong message. But the horror fans are. This movie is not intellectually stimulating, as someone mentioned. It is a simple plot, technology versus man. It's only meant to be taken as entertainment, nothing more. If you're looking for a plot in a horror thriller, you will find that plots have been run into the ground. The Ringu concept, for example. And it's just another excuse to entertain. If that disappoints you, bow out of horror now. Plot recycles happen, so take it for what it's worth and enjoy the thrills. I know I did.